BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm Phil Goodlad and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. On Friday, the 29th of November, it's almost time to put the Christmas tree up. Here's what's happening today.
Igman with the opportunity to make it 4. That is wonderful from Hamza Igman. A touch of absolute class.
We reflect on a huge European win for Rangers and huge disappointment for Hearts. There's also the small matter of a Euro 2025 playoff.
When you see the men's playing in the Euros and how you see the fans and how you see the energy of the whole country is something that inspires you in the day-to-day. You wake up every morning with that driven energy to replicate something like that, or even better if we can.
Can Pedro Martinez Losa's Scotland inspire the nation as they take on Finland? And
Into the middle, the header across. Bashiri! Rocky Bashiri with his first goal for Hibs! And somehow Hibs are level!
after that 3-3 thriller between Hibs and Aberdeen, we look forward to more drama in the men's Premiership this weekend.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
It's just one of those mornings when there's so much to speak about, and I'm delighted to say that somebody who is intelligent and clever enough to become a member of the Scottish sports journalism clique is none other than Scott McDermott, the Sunday Mail chief football writer. Scott, morning to you.
Good morning, Phil.
Somebody who unfortunately wasn't clever enough to enter the world of Scottish sports journalism, so had to slum it over 200 times with the Scotland national side, and captaining them is Gemma Fay. Gemma, morning to you.
What a welcome, Phil. Thank you.
Be honest, if you had your time again, would you swap all those caps to be a Scottish sports journalist?
Absolutely, who wouldn't?
Yeah, I thought so. Scott, would you swap your position to captain the national side all those times?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's like a Jamie Lee Curtis film here, vice
Is
versa.
it Freaky Friday, is it? I can't remember. I think it was.
What was the one with the boy from Beverly Hills Cop and the boy from The Wonder Years? Was that vice versa?
Maybe.
You're
I remember them
age.
both.
Showing your age there, Phil.
Yeah.
What podcast am I on? Because I think I've dialed into the wrong thing.
The producer's in my ear saying, Phil, just move on, son, just move on. Listen, it's a busy one, so let's get straight into it. Nice 1, Rangers 4. Scott McDermott, if I had £1 for every pun I've just read out on my paper review in Good Morning Scotland, I wouldn't need to have won the Euro Millions earlier this week. But the top line is, that was some result last night for the Ibrox men.
Incredible. This Rangers team is gradually becoming one of the great mysteries of Scottish football, Phil. In terms of how they can perform so well in Europe, especially away from home, but struggle so badly domestically. Nice are a good team, doing well in the French top flight, obviously. Everything that we'd read and been told that they were going to be as good as Lyon, who dismantled Rangers at Ibrox earlier in the competition, but my word, what a performance away from home. Thoroughly deserved textbook in terms of playing in the counter-attack, and could have scored even more goals. And as I said at the start, how you quite get your head around this Rangers team and the performances, the contrast in performances between European and domestic is quite incredible.
Gemma, is there a switch that flicks when you're in professional football and you've moved from the domestic scene to a European or an international tie? You almost grow a wee bit taller, and maybe because of that you perform slightly better?
I'm not sure there's a switch that flitches. What did you say? That flicks.
I just posed you a question.
And there you go. There's probably Rangers summed up in my inability to speak.
Yeah.
In the fact that I think Neil McCann called them Jekyll and Hyde last night, and I think that's
he
probably a good analogy. I don't think that happens, but I think that does is it. If you switch your focus and attention to the competition you're playing in, and you take your level of confidence from what you've done in that competition. And for Rangers, we see a different team in Europe. Let's be clear here. It was like Christmas came early in that Nice defence. That it was laughable at times. Rosario in particular, it was woeful. However, Phil, You can
If you
only
were
play
behind
what's
that
in front
back
of you.
four, well, indeed. But if you were behind that back four, what would be the
I have
the
been behind back
expressions?
fours like that before.
Not that
And
bad, surely, Gemma.
it's just moments when it it's just moments when like there's too many people have frozen in that back line. These had 12 players out, and it really, really showed. That being said, Rangers did have to create, and they did have to take, and they did. Philippe Clement talked about it being close to perfection. I think that's taking it a little bit too far. I think that they took the majority of their opportunities. Let's be clear, they also passed up some like absolute golden moments as well. However, in terms of going to Nice, in terms of the type of team that Nice they thought they were coming up against, in terms of what the pressure has been before on them at home, I think it's an excellent result and a really good performance. But it's once again it's this conundrum that everybody's faced with and they can't really figure it out, which is how can you go from that and then 3 days later give the domestic performances?
Yeah.
And it's a way in which, and if any head coach could figure out how to harness positivity from one match and wrap it up in a bottle and then release it in the next match, I mean, they would be worth their weight in gold. But they've got to take positivity from that.
Yeah, and Hamza Ingemin, Scott. I mean, fair play to Philippe Clement. He made big calls with his team selection. Once again, Tavernier on the bench, but Ingemin up front, 22 years old, very raw. But showed a maturity, especially for his goal in the first half, showed a maturity that maybe Cyril Dessers could learn a thing or two with yet another miss in the Dessers scrapbook this season in that second half.
He certainly looked more composed in front of goal than Dessers. Dessers can be a bit rash when it comes to moments like that. I thought it was a really big night for Egerman. I mean, he's had a couple of starts for Rangers domestically. I think it was against Hibs and St Mirren at Ibrox when Clement put him in, and he looked a million miles away from being ready to start for Rangers. I think in both those games, I think one he came off at half time, the other after 50, 55, 56 minutes, and didn't show up well at all. As you say, looked very raw, young, naive, as I say, not ready for that level, but he certainly stepped it up last night. I mean, it was a big opportunity for him, and he grabbed it with both hands. I mean, Rangers are obviously restricted in terms of their striker options in Europe because Danilo isn't in the Europa League squad, so he didn't have a lot to choose from. But I think Dessers was so poor at the weekend in the first 45 against Dundee United. Obviously, he got the hook as well. Clement decided to go with Egerman in a big European game, which, as you say, was a big gamble, but it paid off for him, and I hope for the boys' sake that as a big turning point for him at Rangers and in his career, just to prove that he was ready to step up and do it at that level, because he was excellent.
Gemma, 3 games left for Rangers, including Old Trafford for Manchester United and also against Tottenham. Rangers on 10 points. They're in the automatic qualification spot. Do you see Rangers now as a team that can qualify automatically for the knockouts?
Well, I think Man U are sitting on 9, if I'm right. Spurs not winning yesterday as well helped, but I mean, those are 2 big games. I know Man U are going through some problems, but those are 2 huge games. And I don't profess to understand how that 30 billion team league works, but I think it'd be difficult for them to pick up points against Man U and Spurs. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think with the quality that both of those teams have, even though Man U are going through what they're going through, I think that's going to be difficult. So I think if it came down to getting points out of those games, it's going to be hard for them to get automatic, but not impossible.
Yeah, Union Saints they end up with in the group for Rangers. Let's focus on Hearts.
Here's the chance, Lawrence Shankland from 12 yards to level this game, to end his own personal goal-scoring drought in front of the Hearts fans in Bruges. Here he goes. Missed! Lawrence Shankland misses!
Wow.
The drought continues. Hearts remain behind. And Lawrence Shankland looks to the skies. He can't believe it. He skies the penalty.
Scott, we've spoken about a striker in Rangers colours going through a bad time with Cyril Dessers. Can we summon the words to explain Lawrence Shankland? Everybody can miss a penalty, but the body language when he skied it over the bar for the Hearts captain last night in that defeat, I think the body language told more than the actual physicality.
Yeah, I really feel for him, Phil. He's obviously going through a tough time, devoid of confidence in front of goal. I think the irony is, I think his general play has been really good and was decent again last night. I've watched a couple of Hearts recent games, and outside the box, he's played absolutely fine. But struggling for goals, and what is it, one this season? Stark contrast to last season, obviously. Neil Critchley was right after the game. Lawrence Shankland's a big reason why Hearts are at this stage in Europe. Fair play to him for stepping up as captain, obviously, to go and hit it. It was a golden opportunity for him to get that monkey off his back and get scoring again. But as you say, body language wasn't great. Stepping up to take the penalty sounds a strange thing to say, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was a typical Shankland penalty, just the way he hit it, a bit leaning back, going high rather than low.
He just wanted to put his foot through the ball.
Yeah,
there was no placement, and
I know.
he just put it over the bar.
It was a bad miss, and it obviously cost him, because it was a huge moment in the game. Chance for Hearts to deservedly, I think, go and get a point from that game. I didn't see all of it. From what I've seen, they played quite well in the game, had lots of chances, especially in the second half. It would have been a brilliant result to go over there and at least get a point. So, I really feel for him. He's going through a tough period, but as I say, I'd be more worried if his general play was poor. I think eventually when it gets won, the goals will start to flow again for Shankland.
Gemma, here's how you earn your massive wage for doing the BBC Scotland Daily Football podcast, and I mean it's massive. In your level of football when you were playing, why can you go from indestructibility as a player, whether you're in between the sticks or as Shankland is doing, he's putting the ball in between the sticks as a striker. How can you go from that to simply not being able to do what was so easy for you just a few short months ago?
Yeah, I think, look, he is able to do. It's just not happening. You've got to look about all the factors. It's just not individually, but all the factors around him. So you peak and you become like, it's the moment. Player of the year, 30 plus goals, people talking about big moves didn't happen. You're back in the team are not playing well, all this focus and all this pressure. There's no goals coming from anywhere else. So all of a sudden, you're the person that's supposed to provide the goals. You're the captain. You pile all that pressure on, new coach coming in, everybody talking about you. Like, there's not a lack of want or desire to do those things. It's not, as you say, his general play, because general play in and around that space is really important. It's the reliance that Hearts have had on him. They should have gone to market. They should have got another person up top. When you don't do that, you're saying you're automatically saying we're relying on you again. And when it doesn't happen, then you start to try too hard a little bit. And when you start to try too hard, your body gets tense. And when your body gets tense, you start to think about things. And all these things start to build up. So Shankland last year, he wouldn't even have thought about the goals that he scored. He's there, he's doing. Now, I imagine, and this is my perception, I imagine he is thinking about everything he's doing. And when you start to do that, your natural instinct goes and you start to make decisions rather than just do actions. And I feel for the guy as well. I watched the game last night and he stepped up and I thought, I don't think he's getting this. Not just because of his body language, but the time the referee took to go and speak. I mean, the referee was woeful last night. To speak to every single player, you just felt it building and building and building and building. And maybe and I understand the opportunity to get the monkey off the back, but maybe the thing to do would have been as the captain to say to Blair, spit on. You took these from Motherwell. You take that, mate. You go for it. And straight afterwards, he made a great run at the box. Great header, just inches wide. And that's what we're seeing from him. Just here and just there. And fair play to Neil Critchley in terms of continuing to support him, etc. But Hearts need to get goals. Like, their performances have got better under Critchley, no doubt. Performances don't win you anything. Performances don't get you up the league. They're currently joint bottom with Hibs on 9 points each. They've got Aberdeen who stuttered a bit here, but not an easy game on Sunday. So it's a really difficult situation. And I think that the way in which you support Shankland through that is by creating a situation where other people start to get those goals for you, to take the pressure off him to be the main man.
4 defeats in a row, just 1 win and 7 now for Hearts. As you say, Aberdeen next up at Tynecastle on Sunday.
You're listening to the Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Talking of huge games, Easter Road is one this evening. Scotland against Finland in a shootout for the Women's European Championships next summer. Two-legged affair, the first one tonight. Gemma, does Scotland go into this game favourites?
I think so. I think Scotland should go into every game so, Phil, but I genuinely do. Like, it's an interesting one. For those that don't know, there's three ranking places that sit between Scotland and Finland. Scotland ranked 23rd, Finland ranked 27th. Scotland were in the B group, and Finland were in the A group. So Scotland have gone, 7? They've won 7 in a row since they drew with Finland and lost in a penalty shootout in a friendly cup called the Pinatar Cup back in February. They're unbeaten in 8. They beat Hungary 5-0 in the first round of the playoffs. Finland, in their last 8, have won 3, lost 3. They've drawn 2. However, they were in the A groups. Those draws were against Norway and Netherlands. So a different calibre of opponent. They've come out of that. They've played Montenegro. Very similar story to Scotland. Tight first leg, but then smashed Montenegro in the second leg. They are a difficult team. It's probably, bar Norway, one of the most difficult teams you could have picked in that. And there's a bit of history between Scotland and Finland. The most recent being we had them in the qualifying group for Euro 2022. They beat us away 1-0, and I think most people can remember that home game where in the 90 billionth minute it was the most calamitous goal that Scotland ever conceded, and we didn't go to the Euro. I think that happened at Easter Road, that victory against Hungary got that monkey off the back. But look, if we look at the Scotland squad, we look at the quality of players we've got in there, and we think about big moments they faced. We've got players that play Champions League. You've got players that have won WSLs. We've got players that play in the biggest stages. We've got players that have played in World Cups. We've got players that have played in European Championships. We have everything we need in that team to be able to do a job over 2 legs. It will be difficult, though.
We also have, Scott McDermott, all those players that Gemma speak about playing in a winning team, as she says. And when it comes to course and distance in football, sometimes that gives you an edge. And when you get back into the groove and the winning machine cranks up again, it's almost like things take care of themselves. I wonder, though, the difference being, given that we have had this almost desert of non-action in the top tournaments for the women's side, missing out in the last World Cup, missing out on the Euros, is there added pressure tonight in the back of the players' minds when they think, well, we've got to get a result tonight to go to Finland to set up going to Switzerland for the Euros next summer?
Yeah, I think there is added pressure. Even listening to the Pedro Martinez Losa the other day talking about, really brought the men's game into it, about watching them going to the Euros, and even that brings a little bit of pressure. As Gemma says, they couldn't be getting into this tie in better form. 7 straight wins. As we've said, players playing at a really good level. I agree with Gemma. I think they've got to get into it as favourites. I think getting people like Caroline Weir back, obviously recently coming back for injury, has been massive for them. But because of the nature of the tie, with it being a playoff, with everything that's at stake, there is big pressure. And I don't know if Gemma would agree, but I think having the first leg at home was maybe a slight disadvantage, because, as you say, you need to go and post a result that sets you up for going away from home, where it's going to be more difficult. So it's a massive game for them. I think they would want at least a 1 goal, possibly a 2 goal lead to take to Finland, to just try and put one foot in the Euros. It's
live tonight on the BBC Scotland channel. Best pictures, of course, with BBC Radio Scotland, where it's live on Sportsound from 7 o'clock. As if all that's not enough, in the men's game, we've got a full Premiership fixture this weekend. 2 matches on Sunday, St Johnstone Rangers, Hearts Aberdeen. Tomorrow, though, Celtic Ross County, Dundee United St Mirren in the so-called Jim Goodwin derby. Kilmarnock Dundee, Motherwell Hibs. Now, given just how catastrophically poor some of the guests on this podcast is when it comes to predicting what's going to happen, I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win, and I'm going to ask you in a sentence to tell me why. And I mean a sentence, because the producer's shouting in my ear because we're running out of time. So, Gemma Fay, one of the predictors with a less than glittering record of
You are
late.
doubling down, Phil, aren't you? You're doubling down here.
Celtic Ross County tomorrow. Who wins, and in a sentence, why?
Celtic, too good.
Dundee United St Mirren, Scott McDermott. Who wins and why?
Draw. Two evenly matched teams. St Mirren probably better, but going away from home, I think it'll be a draw.
So that is the best outcome for Jim Goodwin. His own private derby. He has a smile on his face at the end of it. Kilmarnock Dundee, Gemma.
Kelly, if they can keep 11 on the pitch, but I think it's more likely to be a draw.
Motherwell Hibs, Scott. By the way, we are ripping through this. I'm liking this new format. Motherwell Hibs. I'm
going to go for Hibs, controversially. I think things might be about to turn for David Gray after the last gasp draw against Aberdeen. Motherwell struggling with injuries. Going to go for an away one.
Hearts Aberdeen, Scott, on Sunday.
I'm going to go for Hearts. Performances improving under Neil Critchley. Again, I think he's due a result. Being at home, yeah, I'm going to go Hearts home win.
And St Johnstone Rangers, Gemma, and I want you to speak as a professional and not as a fan.
I'm going to go Rangers. I think they will have too much for St Johnstone, even though you literally don't know which Rangers is going to turn up.
Well, I will add that to your list of predictions over the last 3 months, which will
well,
be a special
let's have a look
podcast
here. Celtic, I think I'll got that one right.
Gemma, we don't have time. The producer,
we
what's
do,
that
we
producer?
do.
Yes,
I'm
I'll
on
cut
this.
it
It's
off.
usually
Yes.
29 minutes and we're 21 minutes there. I think I'll get
Producer.
the Kelly one right and I'll get the Rangers. I ain't got a full card.
Gemma, what I love about doing the podcast with you is, of course, you think you're going to get these all right, but you got them so spectacular. I mean, you were telling me just a few...
You also keep pointing to your left ear and saying, the producer, I know you're deaf in that ear.
Scott, I thank you for coming on this morning, and I apologise for the madness that you've been involved in. Scott McDermott, the chief sports writer from the Sunday Mail, and Gemma Fay, the former Scotland captain who played just over 200 times for Scotland in goals. So we've got the journalistic sharp end of things, and we've got you the international sharp end of things on what is a big night for Scotland as they hunt down this spot at next summer's Euros. You won't miss a thing. BBC Radio Scotland on air 7 o'clock across the network. That's on digital, online, and on your smartphone. It's on the telly as well, the BBC Scotland channel. Kick off at 7:30. Remember also the Scottish Football Daily podcast, and the clue is in the title. It's every day through the week. So download it at BBC Sounds, stick on your notifications. When the pod drops, we'll let you know, and you can listen and you can mark for yourself which of our pundits are good at giving us the right results. For now, though, enjoy the beautiful game and enjoy tonight's game. Let's hope enjoy is the word for Scotland against Finland. I'm Phil Goodlad. We'll speak again soon.
Just a quick reminder, the Behind the Goals podcast is available every Tuesday with me, Rachel Corsey, and me, Leanne Crichton. It's your one-stop shop for our take on everything that's happening in the world of football. Just head to BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts and search for Behind the Goals.